service delivery platform that basically provides enabling technology for new value-added services. The second product line we have is the messaging product lines that we are showcasing. These are basically products that are integrated in a converged messaging area. And the third product lines are mainly in the multimedia value-added services like ringback tone service, location-based services, and voicemail and video mail, so forth.
Okay.
Sure, I think there is a lot of drive in terms of the revenues. If you look at the data services uptake from the operator's point of view, SMS still becomes a predominant revenue generator. But when we look at as networks become more and more bandwidth rich and much more faster, I think there will be a next generation of messaging that's going to evolve, and this is going to be basically bringing multimedia, instant messaging and presence, and the capability to interact not just peer-to-peer but also from machine-to-peer kind of next generation services. That the long-term evolution kind of technologies can basically bring much more user experience from the messaging point of view. From my experience, what I have been observing in the industry, basically SMS still, as I said, it's the predominant revenue generator. So there's a concern from the operators to really ensure that the positioning of the next generation messaging doesn't really cannibalize their existing revenues from SMS. So in my mind, what it's very important for the operators to basically have the right positioning and the marketing aspect that really brings a complementary revenue stream. Because instant messaging is much more interactive and it's more in real-time kind of service, versus SMS is much more like you try and retry and then deliver it, so it's not as real-time. So both services are, in my mind, they're very complementary. And the end users, obviously, they have their own view to see the value from both of these generating services for the operators. So when we look at the location-based services, there are two types of services, basically. One is the consumer mass market service, and the second is more of an enterprise services. Now, in the location industry as a whole, the evolution of LBS has been kind of a little bit slow because the technology was not as much matured, and obviously the content and the accuracy of maps and so forth. But now the industry is at a point where these technologies are much more mature. The price points have really gone down, and the operators are in a position to leverage location as a valuable asset from the network, so they could drive new innovative services. So we are seeing that even third-party service providers like non-telcos like Google, Yahoo, and all these companies, they're trying to penetrate user base through positioning information. So operators are now taking an approach where they're basically trying to compete with them in a way, or in some cases they want to partner with them. So LBS plays a critical role for, I would say, more contextual kind of services that the operators can launch. Sure. As Telenity, we actually provide a platform which is basically a service delivery platform. And within this service delivery platform, we have components that enable location-based services. So we have defined a service component for location middleware. And this middleware actually offers services for geo services, as well as for privacy management and third-party application service management. So it provides a complete environment. And as you've built a new service from a developer's point of view, there is a service creation environment. And the delivery of this is through SMS, MMS, or it could be direct HTTP client download on the handsets and so forth. Well, definitely carrier needs to have the technology in place for LBS services to launch. And in terms of the technology, assisted GPS as well as the UTDA or TDOA technology triangulation, they all have their pros and cons. They have their merits versus, so for instance, a GPS is good, let's say, where you have a good line of sight with the GPS satellites. So for certain areas in metro areas it's good, but if you're going actually in an open environment, it's pretty good. But if you're going in a condensed environment, then you basically want to fall back into other technologies like triangulation and so forth. So as a service provider, you probably need an environment that you can actually have a complementary location technology brings better user experience to the end user. Sure. So Latin America for Telenity is a very important market because we see that the market is still in an early stage four value-added services, as to say. And as Telenity, we basically work with the partners that actually sell our solutions into the operators. So right now we have recently made a success through our channel partner in Mexico. So we see two markets, mainly Brazil and Mexico, as one of the key markets for us, because these are the largest markets. And in Mexico there is a lot of growth expected for the next 4 or 5 years. There are 4 operators in Mexico, and we actually made inroads with an operator. They have a larger client base in corporate enterprise, but they're actually looking at next generation of messaging. So they have recently commercially launched our short message service center in their network. They're actually growing very fast in this case. So from our experience, what we are seeing is the operators have really a demand for messaging products in the short term, because they see an uplift of their messaging services. So they're looking for replacing an existing messaging solutions, or in some cases having a side-by-side SMS messaging solution. But other than that, some operators are actually looking for LBS services very closely these days, and they're actually even looking at launch of 3G and 4G. Actually, in 3G services, look for more video-based services like video ringback tone and audio ringback tones and so forth. Yeah, definitely ringtones are still winning the battle, but ringback tone is going to be the next wave of growth. So we are going to see a lot of user base using ringback tone, because most of the cultural is more of similar to the Asian markets in some cases, and they are actually very prone of using music during their video calls or audio calls and so forth.